What is going on, everybody? And this is Wise23. This is something a little different. Basically, what I'm going to do is take you through my top 10 favorite superhero movies of all time. And here's the rules. They basically just have to be comic books that were movies. They don't have to be. I don't want The Incredibles, Hancock, stuff like that. That's not a comic. Um, I just want Marvel, DC type comics. All right. So starting at number 10, Thor. And Thor does stick to the comics pretty well. Odin in the comics does cast Thor out for being inept, and I think the difference in the comics, he went to a cave, found his hammer, blah blah blah, came back. But there's a lot of differences, but it does stay true to the comic pretty well. Um, the guy who played Loki was very good at Loki. I thought it was a very good movie. There was a lot of plot twists, and there's a lot of things that you have to. There was a lot of little side things that are like keys to figuring out that they're going to. There are a lot of teasers into the original Avengers and then into the Avengers 2. Apparently, the Affinity Gauntlet's in there. Yada yada yada. But I liked the movie. I thought it was pretty good. I went to go see it in theater, and I loved it. Number 9, Blade. Now, a lot of people actually don't know about Blade, a character or the movie. Played by Wesley Snipes. Basically, he's a vampire, crazy, and it's not the. And I love this movie because it portrayed vampires in a different way. Vampires are usually portrayed as really creepy old men who go around biting women in the middle of the night randomly. But in this, it portrays them as a underworld type of outcasted society, ordeal, and they have crazy martial arts abilities. And um, Wesley Snipes did a fantastic job playing it. I thought he played Blade just about as good as he could play it. I think I like the first one. I don't really like the other ones, but the first one was really good. Um, it wasn't too gory, but there were some like like make you jump out of your seat moments in there as well. But number 8, and I just saw this movie last night, so I won't spoil it for you guys because I know it's relatively new. Man of Steel, the newest installment in Superman movies, and I have to say it's pretty damn good. It sticks to the story very well. It's not very hard to stick to the story of Superman because it's very straightforward. Everybody knows the story of Superman. He's sent from Krypton and all that stuff. But the guy who played Superman in this movie, Henry Cavill, very very good. Um, he's nowhere near Christopher Reeve. Nobody ever will be, but he's second in my opinion to Christopher Reeve. He seriously is very very good at what he does. Like he's like if you ever watch the animated series of Superman or Justice League, he sounds just like the guy. Like I don't know if he is the guy, but I think he sounds just like he's perfect. And there's some stupid dialogue in the movie, but it's very good. The guy who plays the villain Lord or General Zod is very good as well. Um, in the original in Superman 2, I can't remember who the guy who played Lord Zod. I think the guy in this movie who plays Zod is is way better than the guy who played him in the original. But I like the movie; it's pretty good, and maybe in the future people rate it a little bit higher than I did. But number 7, X-Men 2, X-Men United. That movie was epic. The first one was good, second one was better. Basically, in the X-Men series, every person who plays a character, the guy who plays Magneto, the guy who plays Doctor or Professor X, obviously Gene Hackman is Wolverine. Everybody who plays Halle Berry as Storm, everybody who plays a character is perfect for that character. That you don't ever hear that. They're perfect, and like I don't get it either. They're just perfect, and like the story had started at the very start of the movie started out with Nightcrawler just raping shit in the White House, and it was just like really really cool. I love it. Um, Number 6, the Avengers, and the Avengers is on here mainly because of shock factor. I was more shocked of how good it was more than anything else. I was really shocked at just how good the Avengers was because usually you wouldn't think the Avengers was. I thought it was going to flop. I thought it was going to honestly flop because it had that opportunity to flop because it was just like, all right, maybe they. I don't think they can really do this and have it be as good as I'm thinking it's going to be. But it was. It was better than I thought it was going to be. It was a blockbuster. It had like $222 million in the box office. I mean, basically, it drowned the box office in money. I mean, it was crazy. But number 5, Spider-Man 2, the little love sequel or little love triangle type deal with Mary J and uh, Peter Parker, Tobey Maguire, great Peter Parker. I think you can't really beat him, to be honest. I haven't seen the new Spider-Man, unfortunately, the Amazing Spider-Man or whatever. Heard it's pretty good as well, but it does stick to the comic book, except for the fact that Spider-Man doesn't use cartridges. He has unlimited supply, I guess, unlimited supply, but it does stick to the comic. Dr. Octavius is very well portrayed in this movie and finds his way back to being good at the very end, sacrifices himself to save the city of Manhattan. It was such a great movie. I could sit here and watch it all day. Like I could actually have it on DVD. As a matter of fact, I might watch it later tonight. But it's such a good movie. I thought that the third one fucked that everything up. But anyway, moving on to number four, and on number four is Iron Man, the original Iron Man with Tony Stark, played by Robert Downey Jr. Now, if you tell me you knew who Robert Downey Jr. was, if you could name three Robert Downey Jr. movies before this came out, before this movie came out, you're a bullshit liar. Bull planet. So you could not tell me three Robert Downey movies before this movie came out, because I didn't. First of all, I barely even knew who the guy was. If you're not a female, you wouldn't know who he was, because obviously he's a male and he's a pretty good looking guy, whatever. But he basically on his tombstone it should read, "Here lies Tony Stark," because more people know him from Tony Stark than they do for himself. This guy is like, there's speculation he might not be in the Avengers 2, which means there won't be an Avengers 2. But the first one was just so, it stuck to the comic, it did everything right, like I like. And the only problem was in the third one, oh my god, don't even get me started. No spoilers, but the third one was fucking terrible at the end. And like, anyway, um, but yeah, number three, The Dark Knight, and I can already see the rage. The rage is coming, guys. The rage is coming because The Dark Knight is number three, but you'll see why later. But I like The Dark Knight. I think that, fucking, for God's sake, Christian Bale, what the fuck are you doing? This is Batman. Like, oh my god, that's the only thing that pisses me off, his voice. Like, Jesus Christ. If I wanted to hear scrawly voices, I'd go listen to Nickelback, for God's sake. I don't want to listen to it while I'm watching Batman. But he did a good Bruce Wayne, but his Batman just pissed me the fuck off. But the thing that saved this movie, to be honest, was Heath Ledger. But this movie does get overrated a tad bit, to be honest, because Heath Ledger's death. And I know people are going to be upset about that, but it does. It gets overrated because of his death. But only interesting parts to me was Heath Ledger in the movie. Like, I was disinterested until Heath Ledger pop on the screen again. I'd be like, oh my god, this is great. But you'll see why this is number three and not number two or one. Number two, there is a Superman with Christopher Reeve and Gene Hackman. Gene Hackman, who was Lex Luthor. You can't beat that Lex Luthor, plain and simple, or that Superman, plain and simple. For the time, being back in the 70s, absolutely blockbuster film, and I can still watch it today. I've watched it tons of times, over and over and over again. But great storyline, portrayed Superman well. Can't remember who played Superman's father, but for God's sakes, it was just a great movie. Like the first and second one, my God, it was just epic. The box office money for the time, absolutely ridiculous. You could plug it in right now and you could watch it, and it's still better than Man of Steel, even with the visuals of today. Number one, Tim Burton's Batman 1989, and that's because it stuck to the comics more than The Dark Knight. The Batmobile was more to the comics. The city was more to the comics. The Joker was more to the comics. The Batman was more to the comics. They had the Batwing in there. The Batwing which actually looked like the Batwing, not a big ass retarded looking helicopter from Call of Duty. But no disrespect to Christopher Nolan, that Batman is the best Batman, bar none. I don't give a fuck what nobody says, but Batman is the shit. That's my favorite comic book character. But I just like that original one better, plain and simple. If you disagree, which I know some people are going to say The Dark Knight is better, just because it's newer, it's more, but I just like Tim Burton's version better. If you leave a comment who I left out, what movies I left out, etc., etc., leave a like down below, comment down below. I know that Watchmen is a very well-liked movie. I've not seen it. That's why I haven't put it. That's why I didn't put it in there. But this is Watchhouse 23 signing out with my top 10 not video games, but comic book movies of all time.